All right, I'm here with Alex Branning of the Branning Group, in based out of Redding, California. Hey, Alex, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thank you, Dan. I'm excited to be here, man.
Awesome, awesome. Hey, I want to thank you for setting some time out of your day to have a conversation with me. And we've been working a little bit with each other over the past year and a half or so, but we do share the same coach and trainer in Eric Lofholm. But kind of take maybe even before that, take me back. Give a little bit history about uh, you know where you grew up, how you got into the business you're in, and I believe you were in a certain sport, and Michael Phelps may have turned your life trajectory somewhere.
Yeah. So I was a competitive swimmer in my early teens. I was really good, but never Michael Phelps good. So I was about probably 16 years old, and I was invited to go to the Junior Olympics, which was exciting. But I knew then, like, I think when you're an athlete, like where you're like, man, I can beat this guy, but I definitely can't beat that guy. And even though I was invited to go to the Junior Olympics, I knew like there's no way I'm going to win at the Junior Olympics. And I also knew that I didn't care enough to really try to get that much better. You know what I'm saying? So, but that competitive spirit was in me from a young age. When I graduated high school early, 2 years early. And when I was about 17, I started my business, the Branning Group. And started it just as a nerd who liked to code. I was like, this is fun. Let me like program online. This is crazy. And people were paying me a ton of money for a 17-year-old to
Yeah, right.
to code for a little bit. And I was like, man, this is easy money. My business grew to a point, long story short, I started when I was 17. I met my now wife when I was 22. And so while I pursued her all the way to Chicago, I was living in Southern California at the time. And so I moved to Chicago and kind of went part-time with the business, but it was always a passion of mine. And when I came back after we got married, I kicked it up again, and it was so cool. We got a chance to work with Chrysler. We wrote their website, Crocs. So it was so much fun, Dan. But I say all that to say this: I put myself in a position where I was stuck. I was in this entrepreneurial jail that I put myself in, where I was working long hours, not making a lot of money, high stress, ton of people depending on me. And that's when I reached out to Eric Lofholm. I was like, man, I am stuck and I don't know how to get out. And Eric really helped me kind of tweak my business so that it was not as stressful. I was able to increase the amount of revenue. And I've been working with Eric for about 6 years now. So that's the super condensed version of my entrepreneurial journey. Started when I was 17. I'm 35 now, doing it for a long time. It's been so much fun. Yeah. So, and then we met, I think the first time we met was after a webinar that Eric did a couple of years ago. You and I connected. I think we were commenting back and forth in the Facebook group. And you got Eric and I did a program together called ELI Tech. And I was doing trainings to his group. And I think that's how we first got connected a few years ago.
Yeah, I don't exactly remember the circumstance, but I know it was through Eric Lofholm, and I've been training with him for a number of years now. So, um, but yeah, that I think that through him is where we connected. Kind of go back, and right before you um, reached out to Eric, you're working with companies like Chrysler, and you know and the money, I assume the money was good. So what was it about your business that you were like feeling stuck with, right? Because I think for a lot of business owners, what you don't know until you get there, but like, hey, I could always use more clients, right? But when you kind of get to that level, it's like now, you know, I'm flooded with clients, but I don't have time to breathe right now.
Yeah. So the way that I set up my business was Michael Gerber lays out different business owner types in his book, The E-Myth.
Right.
He talks about the technician, the business operator, the business owner, and then like the investor. I may be missing it up, but anyway, the quadrant that I was stuck in was the technician. I was the programmer who hired other programmers. And as the project manager, every time we added a new client, my workload increased. And so and I didn't know how to let go of that. I had brought in somebody at one point, it just didn't work out. So I was in a situation, Dan, where I was working with people that demanded excellence and they were willing to pay for it. So like you said, the money was good, but they demanded excellence. We were delivering it, but it was hard. And the product that we were delivering was very expensive to produce. We were basically trading time for dollars. It was great if it was an even trade, right? Like 1 hour for 1 hour's worth of pay. But as what happens sometimes in our world is mistakes happen. I have to eat hours and things like that. And so it's not always a 1-to-1. It's, more like maybe 1.5 hours where I get paid for one. So anyway, it was creating a situation where the amount of hours that I was working was high. The risk that I was taking was very high. And bringing on new work meant increasing my hours. And so I was working consistently. I was working 80 to 100 hours a week, which was just killing me. And so, yeah, so there's other like micro problems that were happening within that, but that was essentially the overall thing. Was I was getting stretched so thin trying to keep up with everything. And I reached a breaking point where I said, man, I do not want to be doing this. I looked at myself and I was talking to my wife and I said, I do not want this to be my life a year from now, but I don't know how to fix it, And so I knew that I needed help. I knew that the experience and the knowledge that I had would not get me out of the jam that I was in. And so I needed to go find somebody else to help me out and show me a path to success.
All right. So what was the breakthrough that you had working with Eric and kind of tweaking your business to, help you stay in the business?
Yeah. So I was at trading time for dollars. What I needed to get to was trading value for dollars, right? In other words, it's not necessarily, I'm going to give you 5 hours and you'll get this. It's, I'll give you this product, no matter how long it takes me, and you'll pay me this much, right? It was basically productizing my business, to use a buzzword. So instead of hours, I was trading specific projects. And so what it was before was I was charging around $75 to $100 an hour based on the project. And now I was able to say, you'll get this product for, say, $2,000, no matter how long it takes us to build it. Now, initially, that was not a winning proposition for me. And I knew it wouldn't be because it was going to take a little bit more time and effort. But I was eventually able to create a situation where I had some turnkey, campaigns that I was able to use. And that's all we do now at the Branning Group is really turnkey campaigns. And so it was going from, if I wanted to get paid for 80 hours of work, I needed to do 80 hours of work. Then creating a system where I was able to productize myself and exchange value for dollars instead of time for dollars. I was able to get $2,000 worth of work for far less because I'd already put all the work in and I was able to just tweak it, but still deliver the same quality, the same excellence, and the same results for my clients.
So you talked about kind of turnkey products, turnkey results. Can you share some of the things that you and Branning Group have been doing to, help you stop trading time for money and trading value for money?
Yeah. So we looked at, there's a couple different revenue streams in the internet marketing space. The only one that I was doing when I first called Eric was done for you services, where it was like, here's the order that we want, Alex, go ahead and fulfill it. So every project required quotes and there was back and forth. And so what I did first was I exchanged that for like, here's the specific product and here's the deliverable. And then I added in some coaching on top of that. And then probably about 3.5 years ago, I started introducing digital courses. And so that was really fun. And a digital course is, for those of you that are listening and have no idea what I'm talking about, it's basically an over-the-shoulder home study course that you do at home that shows you how to perform a certain task or learn a certain skill. So we were creating those for our clients. And then I introduced coaching about 2.5 years ago. And so that's probably one of my favorite parts of what I do is the coaching. So I have 4 revenue streams
Mhm.
now. None of them require exchanging time for dollars, except the coaching part of it. But I have a lot more control over that, and so I'm able to only work with the people that I really want to work with, and so it gives me a lot of joy, and we're having a lot of fun with it. So so that's how the branding group has changed. It's an entirely new business from
Mhm.
when I started working with Eric. I didn't know that it was going to be. I just knew that I was stuck and didn't want to be in the same situation I was at.
Right. And I remember you saying this. I don't know if it was a conversation with me or, maybe one of your coaching sessions, group coaching sessions. You said, you started off as basically a website designer
Yeah.
and then transitioned to a digital marketer. And so for people who kind of aren't familiar with the lingo, what is the difference between what you did for Chrysler and what you do now?
Yeah, so Chrysler said, here's a website that we want. Here's a general idea of what we want it to look like and how we want it to function, build it. And so what my team would do is take their design and break it down from graphics to a living, breathing website, and then add in the functionality necessary, like, being able to download PDFs and get access to only certain areas of the website with passwords, etc. So when we were building websites, we were coding things pretty much from the ground up. What we do now is we are a marketing agency. In other words, our goal is, for someone like you, Dan, it would be, generating leads. What does that look like? That looks like Facebook ads. That looks like a way to collect the lead, whether it's on Facebook or in a funnel, and then nurturing the lead through a series of emails and text messages and such to bring the lead to a point where maybe they go from cold or warm to, wow, I really want to talk to Dan about how he can help my business. So the website builder was a very specific task that we were doing. Now, as a marketing agency, we have a few more services that we offer, but it's all geared towards the same result, which is finding the ideal prospect for our clients and bringing them to a point of setting up an appointment with our client.
So let's talk about that a little bit more. And when as business owners who we're better at our craft than internet marketing and building websites. And I think for most business owners who aren't familiar with internet marketing and digital marketing, they think, whether they know it or not, I think they perceive their business website as more as a brochure,
Mm.
right? And I know what you guys are doing is actually having, for your clients, you get people to visitors to the website actually pick up the phone or schedule an appointment. So can you talk a little bit about maybe one or two things that distinguishes just a brochure type website versus something that causes visitors to take action to book an
Absolutely.
appointment or pick up the phone to call them? Yeah.
Yeah. So a brochure website is something that I think we all just kind of started with when the internet first started. We didn't really know the difference. It was about putting information out there. What information do we have? Well, at the time, the marketing world ran off of brochures and catalogs. And so it was, how can we just digitize this so we don't have to mail it, right? So that's how the internet started. That's just, that's how everything got, that was the foundation. And so like the websites that we would build for Chrysler and Crocs and those companies, it was very much brochure websites. Here's the information. And if you want to buy, click here to go to the shopping cart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we're noticing that consumer expectations are different. They're no longer just looking for information. They're looking for help. They're looking for, that one-to-one interaction. So we need to give it to them, and we need to show them that if they are going to spend time with us, they're going to get value from that time with us. So for example, with us, one of the things that we do is we offer a free strategy session, and we outline exactly what's going to happen in that 20 to 30 minute strategy session. We're going to identify 2 to 3 traffic sources to bring in new business for you.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to share how you can turn someone from a cold lead to a red hot prospect waiting to buy. And we're going to give you some tips on how to change up your online presence right now, for example. So those will be like the 3 benefits. For us, someone going to our website doesn't really grow our business. Well, it's not, it doesn't really, it doesn't at all grow our business, right?
Mhm.
Someone just going there. However, if we're able to hop on the phone with them, we have a much better opportunity to serve them, which grows our business and will help grow their business. So as the business owner, looking at your website and going, what is the consumer experience that my ideal prospect would want from my website? Is it to get information? No. They want help. They want service. They want support on the thing that you provide. And so you need to give it to them. You need to make it easy for them to schedule a phone call. You need to make it so that they can grab some more information. And the consumer expectation has been changed. They no longer expect all of the information available on a blog. Quite frankly, they don't care enough to go digging for it.
Mhm.
However, if they go to your website and you say, hey, for example, for you, Dan, since you're a trademark attorney, putting together something that says, hey, you're here because you're interested in trademarking your business.
Mhm.
I have a resource for you for for example, the 7 biggest mistakes when people make while trademarking their business. I'm going to give it to you for free, and let's hop on a call so that I can help you. You're going to, not only are you going to have people filling out that form and saying, yes, Dan, I want help with my, I want to learn the mistakes so that I don't do them, and I want help. You're going to get more people to fill out that form than if you did not share exactly what would happen when people would hop on a call with you, and you did not make it easy, because we need our hands to be held as we visit websites. We don't know what our process is to get that help, right? So
Mhm.
we as business owners need to make it very straightforward. If you want help with this, here's step 1, step 2, step 3 for us to help you out. And to make the process even easier for you, consumer, here's the benefits you're going to get just by taking these steps with us. So I feel like I rambled on a little bit, but that's essentially the difference between the brochure websites that were the foundation of the internet back when we first were figuring this all out
Mhm.
and what the consumer expectation is now. They want help, they want it now, and they need to be told how to get it.
You talked about kind of the steps that that you kind of handhold the client through, and I think maybe the hot word over the last couple of years has been funnels, right? Marketing funnels, sales funnels, and I know you extensively use funnels in for your business and for your clients as well. Can you talk a little bit about what obviously what is a funnel and how business owners can effectively use them for the customer journey?
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
a funnel is basically a mini website where the prospect has only one direction to go. So if they go to Dan's book funnel, for example, they can either get the book or they can hit the back button and go back to where they came from. So there's not a lot of information there. They have one decision only to make. That's the power of the funnel. And so what we've found is that, the more decisions that you give a consumer, the more confused they get and the more less likely they are to make a decision.
Mhm.
And so what we want to do is give them only one decision. Do you want to go down this road where we're exchanging information, your contact information for my information,
Mhm.
and then my help, or do you want to go back to where you came from? So the fewer decisions you put in front of the consumer, the better. And when funnels first got started, it was such a new and revolutionary experience for the consumer that we saw a huge amount of success right away. Now it's becoming a little bit more mainstream and consumers are used to it. Well, that does 2 things. One, they almost expect that kind of experience now, which is great. It's not new. They're not confused. They don't know, why am I only being presented with this option? They get it.
Mhm.
But it also puts the burden a little bit more on the business owner, because now more business owners are using funnels. And so with more people using it comes a little bit more of a comparison. Like the consumers are going around and they're doing their research and they're coming across websites with different funnels and offers that are being made for these strategy calls or information that they can access. And so now the business owner has to make their funnel or their offer a little bit more appealing. So funnels are a great way for the business owner to put up a very simple website or online presence, but still have it be profitable for their business.
Right, right. And let's go back just a little bit how you transitioned from building websites to being a digital marketer and using funnels. As you moved into the digital marketing space, what were some of the struggles that you as the business owner, had to go through in making that particular transition?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So, I refer to myself affectionately as a code monkey. In other words, I was given here's the instructions, go write it. I had no creativity allowed really with the work that we were doing for these big companies.
Mm-hmm.
We just did what they asked and we did it well, but there was very little creative expression that we could do. So when it came time for me to market myself, it was a whole new experience, and I had to figure a lot of this stuff out, and I failed a lot. I still fail a lot, but that's marketing. In marketing, there's wins and lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And lessons. There's not wins and losses. You're moving forward one way or the other, right? So when it came time to build out my own business, one of the things that I realized pretty quick is that I'm putting out a lot of content, which was great, but I wasn't getting a lot of business inquiries. I was getting views, I was getting engagement, but I wasn't getting a lot of strategy calls with what I was doing. And so one of the things, I forget who told me to do it. It was because I was working with Eric and a few other people, but I put out an offer once using Lead Pages. I don't know if you remember Lead Pages, one of the old software back in the day. And we were doing, I think I put together like a PDF or something. I forget the exact offer that I was making, but I was getting a lot of people going through and downloading this thing. And I was like, wow, this is rad. Like my email database is like grown from 0 to, it was like 200 at the time, to, I think it went from 200 to 300 in a matter of, a couple of weeks just with this, thing I was putting out. And I was like, man, this is pretty cool. And I was just learning about email marketing, and where this really hit for me, Dan, was in Christmas of 2015, almost 4 years ago now. I had my small little list. I was using Lead Pages and Aweber, and I had a list of about 400 people or so, something like that. And we had a plumbing emergency at our house. I mean, we're getting like real life stuff here, right? So it cost us $1,000 to fix it. It was totally unexpected, did not plan for it. And December is a slow month in the marketing game because people are not looking to start new projects in December. And so I was kind of up against a wall. Like, and I planned well for that month, but I did not have that $1,000. But I had a list. I had a list of about 350 or 400 people. And so what I did was I wrote an email to that list, making a low dollar offer. I believe it was for a mastermind session at my office. And it was a $50 offer. So like way underpriced, but I needed it. And I started getting a trickle of like people hitting me up, buying my offer. And then I got a phone call from somebody that received that email and said, hey man, I'm so glad you emailed me. I have this proposal sitting on my desk for you to build my website. And I meant to send in that check before the end of the year. Can I run it by? And so what that did for me, Dan, that email saved my butt. And I was like, man, I have to build my email list. I have to send more offers to my list. And I need to figure out this whole funnels thing. And so that same year in 2016, I towards the end of the year, I discovered ClickFunnels, and the rest is history. So, so I've been using ClickFunnels a lot since the middle of 2017. I was introduced to ClickFunnels at the end of 2016, but I didn't really get it, and it wasn't the same platform that it is today. And so I didn't really, I think I started my account in June of 2017. The first funnels that we were really using, the first big launch that I had was towards the end of 2017 with ClickFunnels. So since then, it's just been a wild ride, man. It's been crazy how much having a marketing platform like that can help grow your business. It's something that's literally designed just for funnels and nurturing. And there's other platforms out right now. ClickFunnels is just the one that I use. There's others that have come up that are great as well. But ClickFunnels has just changed my life, honestly. So it's been great.
So, you've been in the website and digital marketing space for a couple of years now. And, when when it all first started, blogging was kind of the hot thing, and it's still pretty popular, but it's probably slowed down just a little bit. Obviously, there's other social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Where do you see, all I'm hearing now is video is it's either is the hot thing or is going to be the hot thing.
Mhm.
If you can forecast, 2 or 3 years, from today, up into the future, like where do you think the platform for content or a platform for information where consumers are going to look for and look for experts like you and myself? Is it going to be video? It's going to go back to blogging? Where do you think it's going to be at?
Yeah, I think video is and will continue to be king.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look at video as, I think we need to break down video though. I think there's a couple, like before video is just, this thing. So everyone said video marketing and it was this very broad category. I think I would like to split that up though.
Mm-hmm.
We have our short form video. We have our micro videos, which are like the TikTok videos
Mm-hmm.
that are like 15 to 20 seconds in length. We have our short form, which is, 2 minutes or less. We have what I'll just, I call them our 5-minute videos, anywhere from 3 to 5. And then our longer videos, which is like 5 minutes plus. One of the things that we're seeing is the micro videos. Vine kind of introduced the concept a few years ago. It's no longer around, but these micro videos are insanely popular. They're fun, they're silly, and they're incredibly underused by business owners, myself included. I'm not on the micro video train yet, but we are working on that. But that has grown a lot. And what I'm noticing, Dan, is that the younger generation is using it a lot. When I say I'm saying younger, like we're in our 30s and we're like
Right.
us, but like the teens to early 20s are using these micro videos a lot, and there's power in it in showing relatability, answering a quick question, things like that. We have to get creative with the message that's short, but we can do it. Also, the short videos, I'm seeing a ton of success for myself in the videos that are 1 minute to 2 to 2.5 minutes long. It's long enough for someone to just sit and play it briefly, and without having to devote a lot of time. We're seeing a lot of people watch our short videos like that and filling our calendar at the Branning Group, where they want to ask more questions based on that video. So that's been really good. So video is definitely king. I recommend looking at short video. One of the biggest mistakes you can make in video is to make a long rambling video and assume that is now a video marketing piece of content. Right. If you wouldn't watch yourself, your prospects wouldn't watch yourself. So your video has to be at least somewhat engaging. You do a great job at this, Dan. Yeah. And so video, audio is big. One of the things that, is brand new on the market, and we're just kind of figuring it out as marketers, is audio search. Huh. And what I mean by that is like, hey, Alexa, ... Hey, Siri, ... right? People are using that a lot, and it's a vastly underused marketing tool. Siri by default uses Bing, and most people do not use Bing. They just don't. They've forgotten about Bing, Now,
is that more just to spite Google?
Yeah, I think so. I think Microsoft paid them. I don't know exactly how it works, but yeah. So I think audio search is going to be big. Like we've started using it a lot. We've started really focusing on improving our audio search results, and that's been, I can't say it's helped us a lot, but we've seen a slight uptick in traffic to those pages and videos that we've been focusing on. Audio is still, podcasting is still big. Okay. And I think it's only going to get bigger. I think I'm also seeing a change in podcasts. You have your long, I call them the Pat Flynn episodes that are like 60 minutes long, packed full of content, Yeah. But there's a new breed, for lack of a better word, of podcasts. Gary Vee kind of started it a little bit ago. It's these little short, like 10, 15-minute clips that he releases. It's like you can listen to them quickly. You can listen to them on your drive, the full thing, start to finish. And so podcasting is growing a lot. And it's, if you look at the stats, The bulk of the listens actually go to the much longer podcasts.
Oh, okay.
But in business, it's the short ones. So it
Hmm.
just depends on who you're trying to reach.
Yeah.
And so the longer podcasts like Serial and other,
Mhm.
consumer information and political podcasts, the longer episodes seem to do really well and keep the audience's attention. The short ones work really well for business. So you just got to figure out who is my audience and then make your podcast for that audience. So, and a little bonus, I think we're going to see a lot more. Well, not I know we're going to see a lot more in the stories format. You
Huh.
see this on Facebook and Instagram.
Mm.
The stories where you can quickly engage with your audience,
Hmm.
give them a quick peek behind the scenes of what's going on. I think that's going to be another big change or shift in the relatability that we have to brands and how quickly it is, how quickly we can get a marketing message out to the world.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So we are near the end of our awesome conversation, but I do want to ask you a couple of rapid fire questions.
Let's
And
do it.
you just tell me the first thing that comes out in your head. All right. All
Okay.
right. So first question is, who do you look up to?
Frank Kern and Russell Brunson.
All right. So what's the best business advice you've ever gotten?
Fail often and don't be afraid of success.
All right. And what books are you currently reading?
Almost Alchemy by Dan Kennedy, about how to get more from less for your organization.
What's the best book you ever read?
One of the life-changing books I read was The System by Eric Lofthall.
All right. And if you had to do one thing over again, what would it be?
Hire a coach the first day that I started my business.
and, and finally, what's the biggest challenge in your business right now?
I would say the biggest challenge is moving from low to mid-ticket sales items to a more higher ticket sale item. And I think it's mostly to do with my own mindset, not the value that I bring to the market.
All right, everyone. I am here with Alex Branning of the Branning Up out of Redding, California. Hey, if we want to reach out to you, we need some help with digital marketing, need help with our website, need more clients from digital marketing. How can we find you?
Go to alexbranning.com or look me up on Facebook or Instagram, Alex Branning, Branning.
All right. Hey, thanks for joining us here. Awesome conversation. And we'll stay in touch.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.